My name's Andrew Hannell. I'm the founder of Digital Constructors. Essentially, I work with technology within construction.
My name's Anna Faulkner. I'm CEO and co-founder of Cropify. Cropify is using machine learning to eliminate subjective grading from the grain and pulse supply chain.
My name is Antonio Sperperidis. I'm a senior machine learning engineer at Cropify. My role involves developing machine learning models for grading pulses and grains.
Hi, my name is Deval Shah and I'm working as a senior machine learning engineer at Australian Institute for Machine Learning. And my role specifically caters to helping SMEs and solving problems for industrial partners that are looking to employ machine learning in their workflows.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Reid, Engineering Manager here at AIML, and I work with the engineering team to deliver quality outcomes for our customers.
In my experience, simple and real-world projects are the best. I guess where I'm coming from is that there are a lot of misconceptions that any AI has to be some kind of mind-blowing generative AI, but something as simple as counting potholes in a road and recording where they are could save millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. Just to give this some context, construction is a very expensive, very conservative business. I'd really see it as a bit of an unloved child when it comes to government and technology and so forth. It's quite often put in a too hard basket. So during both construction and operational phases, there are many, many inspections that are required. And on many projects, that's done entirely manually. Somebody walking around with a clipboard. If that can be automated, it will save a huge amount of time. And furthermore, it adds some other benefits. For example, using computer vision, AI-based computer vision, it's not open to opinion or it's entirely objective.
I think as a business person, if you don't have a deep understanding of AI and ML, you're not really going to understand if that's going to be the solution to solve your business problem. So I think from the start, it's more look at your pain points in the business, what are you trying to solve, and then try and discover what are the possible solutions for that problem. And if it's not in your scope, you may not understand that AI or ML can solve that. The challenge we were trying to solve was taking the subjectivity out of grain and pulse grading in the global supply chain. We need to try and find a solution, something that could do that. And we spoke to a lot of people, and someone suggested that machine vision has come a long way, and we looked at horticulture and what was being done in horticulture. We then approached the Australian Institute for Machine Learning and had a proof of concept done. And that is basically how our path, our journey started 4 years ago. We're business people. We had a very shallow understanding of machine learning at the time, but now we understand a lot more, and obviously machine learning is the right fit for us.
A well-defined project is a good place to start. A well-defined project with a lot of data that are relevant to the real-world scenario is even better. At Cropify, we've been spending the last 2 years defining such a problem and gathering data and building solutions that are related to the ag-tech applications. Our first products are related with identifying visual defects in grain and pulses and optimizing the grading process.
I believe that most software projects that we can think of that solves a business value can also be applied via AI. Any project that involves pattern recognition or predictive analysis or forecasting patterns in your data can be easily applied via AIML techniques. For example, recently we had a client which came to us asking for a solution to predict fouling in their plants. So they had a lot of data around what happened before the fouling and after the fouling. So those kind of problems are well suited for solving via machine learning techniques. And obviously there are like a lot of other domains where it can empower business workflows, like if you want to identify objects in an image or if you want to interpret human language. So in those type of scenarios, machine learning can really elevate the understanding of the data, and it can do it at a much higher scale compared to humans.
Generally, it's a project where there's a data-rich environment, so we have a good amount of information that's well laid out and well labelled. Another example of a project would be, for an SME, would be things like often they're concerned about customer churn or about how to predict changes in sales, for example. And another area could be fraud detection, for example. Businesses generally spend a lot of time and effort getting new customers, and it's a lot easier to sell to an existing customer than to a completely new one. So ideally, businesses want to hold on to those customers and keep them happy for as long as possible so they keep coming back for more services. It's just a lot more efficient and better business.
For industry to be successful with AI, it is basically not having that preconceived idea. Most people in business have a shallow knowledge of AI. It is more looking at your pain points in the business. What are the challenges you're actually trying to solve, and then finding the best technical solution to solve that issue. If it's AI, fantastic, and it might be machine learning, machine vision, or it might be generative. But it's basically not looking at AI and thinking we want to use it. Is it actually right for the problem we have?
Once again, I think the keys for successful industry engagement are simplicity and real-world applications. There are so many opportunities with AI that it's very overwhelming. I think really distilling it down to key business issues that might cost a lot of money, might take a lot of time, might be very tedious, or might be error-prone. Those are the best opportunities.
There's a few things. The first is understanding the problem, having that domain knowledge and understanding what you want to achieve. The second thing would be to interact early with the engineers, with the machine learning engineers, keep a close collaboration, develop a common knowledge, and work iteratively to redefine that problem based on the new knowledge found from both sides, both from the application side and from the ML side. The third, besides the ML expertise, of course, is large data sets, large storage space, and large compute to be able to develop and deploy the applications.
So successful collaboration between an organisation and engineers in an ML project really does revolve around several things. The first and most important one is communication. So as long as there's good open communication between the engineers, the management team and the customers, everything can work well. As soon as the communications aren't flowing well, there's hold-ups and things don't generally go as well as planned. So the next part of that works in very closely with it is that goals are very important as well. So it's important that before we start off any project, we really understand the goals of what's trying to be achieved so that we can make sure that at every step along the way, we're working towards those goals and what we're building. The last aspect is to do with expectations and making sure that everything we do is well understood, that there's no surprises, and that we're aligning expectations along the way. One of the things a lot of customers might not be aware of is that with machine learning projects, there is an element of exploration and iterative development that we go through. So we need to find things out as we go. So we need to be flexible in our approach, and we'll just try and manage that as best possible by keeping expectations clear of how things are going and being transparent.
I believe for a successful collaboration between engineers and industry partners, a few things need to take place. Setting a bridge between the engineering team and the industry partners is very important, because we need to communicate our engineering solutions to them in a way that is accessible to them. At the same time, they need to communicate their business needs and constraints in a way so that we can implement the solution accordingly. They need to have the data and technical readiness. What I mean by that is, if they are trying to solve any problem with AI, they will most likely need data to train the models or to forecast patterns or predict something out of it. A very simple example can be if you are trying to build a tool that predicts stock prices, right? You need a lot of previous historical data about how the price trends have evolved over time. It's always good to have a technical liaison on their side so that we can communicate the technical difficulties or issues or solutions as we go about the development phase, so that when we actually deliver them, the delivery is fairly smooth and they can take that and deploy in their own systems. We can construct the bridge for them, but they still have to know where they need to build the bridge and what kind of traffic they need to support in order to make the bridge active over a long time.
I think, yeah, it is a bit of a specialty area at the moment, AI. So there are misconceptions both on the customer side, but also on, for users of the systems, everybody involved really. So the best way to manage that, I think, is to just be aware that it's not a magic wand, that it's a tool that can help us to accomplish different tasks, but you still have to think about the task that you're trying to accomplish and how things need to change around the tool to make it all work. So it will address one aspect, but there's often several things that need to change to make it all work together. And I think that's something that can be overlooked. It's also, so keeping those kind of reality of how it might not work exactly as you think in mind, but the other side of it is just being aware that there's often an ongoing need for maintenance. So when we train models, we use a set of data, and that over time, that data can change. So there is a need to revisit these models and just check that the reality of how things are now is still comparable to when it was first created, and if it's different, what can be done to realign things?
There are quite a few misconceptions that arises whenever we talk about AI in general. Because AI has been so much hyped on a lot of different platforms, people have those notions that it will just work out of the box and it will solve magically all your problems. But that is not the case in most business scenarios, where the context is very unique for each and every industry partner. On the top of my mind, I could think of some common misconceptions like one size fits all kind of scenarios, which is not the case. Generally, AI models are very specific to the business context that you are trying to solve. I think one of the misconceptions that people in industry have with AI is that AI is often objective and unbiased in its responses. And that is not the case, as we are seeing today with like a lot of popular AI tools, ChatGPT, that they seem to be fairly unbiased. But that is not the case because it has been trained heavily on datasets from internet. And the other misconception that I would like to emphasize is underestimating the data requirements. Industry partners think that the quantity itself will suffice, but I believe also the quality of data is very important. How many variations you can capture in those data points is equally important. In general, I would recommend any industry partner who is trying to partner with us or anyone else in AI projects is that assess these misconceptions and try to come up with a pragmatic approach when you consider adopting AI in your workflows.
Common misconceptions are first that AI is a silver bullet that will solve all the problems very easily. The second is the opposite, that it's a kind of worms that we do not want to open by any means and we need to stay away from. The AI just comprises of a set of tools that could be very powerful with some care, a lot of effort and a lot of data. They can provide insights that can optimize processes, products and services that a company wants.
A common industry misconception is that AI is a new technology. It really isn't. It's just that the broader community's knowledge of AI is quite new. It's only become mainstream in the last 2 years. AI is a fantastic application. If you have a real problem and AI happens to be the solution, it can work extremely well for industry.
I'd say that some common misconceptions are that you need highly experienced, highly technical people to run these projects. In my experience, with some effort and some time taken to properly research AI, see where it might be applied to a business, it's really not that complicated. If you want to understand the inner workings and the mathematics and so forth behind AI, that may be a different story, but in actually applying it, it can be very simple. I think the parallel I'd use is that for the driver of an average driver of a car, they don't need to know the inner workings of the engine and the gearbox and that kind of thing. To operate it, they need to know some essential information. How fast are you going? How much fuel do you have? They might need to know a few key maintenance things. What type of oil does it need? What pressure do the tyres have to be? So I'd say to any business looking at AI and where the opportunities are, they should really see themselves as perhaps the driver of the car. They might need to understand some things about how it works, where it can be applied, is the most important requirement for any business.
I think there are a couple of things that I would like industry partners to consider when they are engaging with engineering organizations like us. Be very clear with the problem statement that you are trying to solve. There are some problem statements that cannot be addressed by AI, or it can be addressed by very simple algorithms rather than AI. There are certain cases where you need to also evaluate the trade-offs between how much resources you want to invest versus how much you're getting out of the solution at the end. Another recommendation that I have is investing in data preparation. The earlier you do, the better the whole process gets, because data is backbone of any machine learning system. And to improve your models iteratively, you need to improve your data accordingly.
The advice I'd give to industry looking at AI adoption is actually look at what your problem is, and is AI the solution? There are lots of different disciplines within AI, and it's doing your R&D and seeing what discipline really suits and is really going to help you nail finding a solution for the problem your business really has. Don't look at AI for the sake of having AI. It has to be the right fit for your business.
The advice I would give to anybody working on these sort of projects, ML projects with engineers, would be to spend some time really trying to understand the problem that you're trying to solve, so that if you're able to clearly articulate it and you know the benefit that you're going to get from the work that's being done, that'll really help everybody involved. So that engineers will sometimes need clarity on things, and the more you can be well versed in what you're trying to do, that'll really assist with everybody involved. But it also helps when you come to try out the solution that you're given, you can really see if it is actually addressing what you were trying to set out to do or not.
I'd really start at a purely business level, examining your business, saying what costs us the most money, what takes the most time, where are the biggest risks, where are the biggest opportunities, and work backwards from there. And as I explained before, I think the answer or potential answers to those sorts of issues can certainly be found in AI.
The advice will be, again, to try to identify the problem, trying to understand it, and trying to keep open mind on the solution. The technology can provide sometimes a slightly different solution from what is the current standard. So just try to avoid this looking for faster horses, looking for something new.